What does freedom mean to you? Does it mean the freedom to choose? The freedom to have a family and raise your kids according to your own values? What about living a wild, adventurous life, experimenting with music, relationships, or art? What does freedom really mean? What if freedom meant something that only a few Americans still understood? What if it meant that your choices and your values were set by you, rather than by some politician in a far-off capital? Some people think we're only free to choose to live exactly how they live, by their moral code, or their narrow worldviews. But if liberty means anything, it means that you, and you alone, have the power to exercise your rights to which the laws of nature and nature's God granted you. It's time to put these principles back into action. It's time to restore the American dream, activate in our communities, and take our country back. It's time to wake up, America. Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America Show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. Sorry for the late start today. Had a few technical issues that we had to take care of, but now it looks like everything's working just fine. Glad to have you here. Welcome to the Cantina crew. All of our friends who are joining us this morning. Lots of exciting things to discuss. Let's hit the top of the top story today. Joe Biden says you need F15s to take on the government of the United States. That's an interesting case for gun ownership that I've ever heard. One of the most interesting. I'll play that clip for you this morning, and then we'll discuss at 7:20 this morning why affirmative action is now being used to force minorities out of positions that they have earned on the basis of their merit. We'll talk about that at 7:20. At 7:30 this morning, Zach Weissmueller is joining us from Reason Magazine. He tweeted yesterday about why we should legalize all drugs. Yes, that's right, all drugs, even black tar heroin. Where's your I need some pearls today. We're going to clutch them. And we'll talk to Zach Weissmueller at 7:30 about why he got the kiss of life from Elon Musk on that tweet and how it's changing his life. That's a little clickbaity, don't you think? We'll see. Maybe it'll be worth it. And at 7:51, great moments in unintended consequences. We'll be discussing it today about things that happen when you didn't intend for them to happen. Sometimes when you make a decision and you do something happens that you didn't intend to happen. It's called an unintended consequence. And we'll discuss some great moments in unintended consequences at 7:51. At 8 o'clock this morning, Camelia Bedelia going to be joining us. We're going to talk to CJ about something that might not make her squirm for once. I know, don't be disappointed. I know. We're going to talk to CJ about how Missouri regulators are close to naming a marijuana czar. It's a really weird story. Here in marijuana. Are you on marijuana, Austin? No, here in Missouri, we're on marijuana now, apparently. It's legal. Well, I think it goes into effect starting in February. Coincidentally, that's also apparently when we're going to start getting Yingling in stores. I'll tell you, I've been crawling around the Hy-Vee looking for my Yingling, and I go there and it's not there, so I have to just drink my delicious German beer as well, German beer instead. You know, that's what you got to do sometimes. But we're going to talk to Camelia about Missouri creating this marijuana diversity officer. It's the weirdest thing ever that we voted for in this new law, and you know, that wasn't a perfect piece of legislation that we passed, or I guess you should say ballot measure, not a piece of legislation. But we'll talk to Camelia Bedelia about that at 8 o'clock. At 8:30, the lovely Bex Bullet's going to join us at 8:35 to talk about the mysterious disappearance of the wife of the leader of the Church of Scientology, David Miscavige. His wife has just gone missing, just been, gone vanished without a trace for months. And it got brought up recently at the Golden Globes when an actor made a joke about Tom Cruise returning his Golden Globes. And the actor made a joke about how he would like to trade these in for the location of I believe it's Sarah Miscavige. I'm forgetting her first name off the top of my head here. But excuse me, but the wife of David Miscavige, who has just mysteriously gone missing. And actress Leah Remini has been speaking out about this, saying, that they were friends and she's wondering where her friend is. and she's just mysteriously disappeared. BX Bullet, who is a private investigator as well as a super mom, is going to be joining us this morning at 8:30 to talk about that mysterious, Shelly Miscavige, to talk about the mysterious disappearance of Shelly Miscavige. And then you do not want to miss the end of the show. This is not me calling Missourians trash, by the way. This is the Riverfront Times, which the headline of this, it just got me clicked. I had to click on it. So clickbaity. Majoris. I can't say Missouri today. I say marijuana, I say majori, but I can't say Missouri. Missouri's rejected license plate names prove we are pure trash. Rejected vanity plates. Yes, we're going to talk about that and why it shows, according to the Riverfront Times, why we Missourians are pure trash. Not sure about that one. Love to hear your thoughts on that one. Send us a check at 573-319. 573-319-1586. Sorry, whenever we have a false start like that, it usually kind of throws me off my game just a little bit, but I will get back on the horse. All right, let's talk about Joe Biden. Since we started later, I'm not going to do my usual commercial break here like I totally would at 7:18. So since we're running late, we'll go ahead and go over to our Twitter weirdness file and take a look at what Senator, God, Austin, you're like pulling a Joe Biden today. Talk about what Joe Biden had to say about citizens needing.
No need for any of that. I love my right-wing friends who talk about the tree of liberty is water with the blood of patriots. If you need to work about taking on the federal government, you need some F-15s. You don't need an AR-15. I'm serious. Think about it.
If you're serious, are you serious if you say that you need F-15s to take on the government? Because listen, I know that this is kind of like, at this point, it's kind of a gun meme, and it gets repeated ad nauseum. But the fact is that how is it that the Taliban was able to put off the American government for what, over a decade, well over a decade, without any F-15s? How did the North Vietnamese, the Viet Cong, take on the American military without F-15s, right? How is it that whenever America is defeated in a conflict, that they did it without F-15s, right? You don't need F-15s to take on a massive government. You just need a completely different strategy. I mean, again, we're talking about someone who, lies on their resume, someone who's barely, their brain is barely broken. Why is Joe Biden saying something like this? He's saying something like this because he knows that it's going to get his people happy and they're going to get all riled up, and people like ourselves are going to go out there and fly off the handle, and we're going to post memes, and it's just going to be wild. So, if you're just tuning into the Wake Up America show with Austin Peterson, I'm speaking about Senator Joe Biden, Vice President Joe Biden, President Joe Biden, and we're discussing his push to say that, the tree of liberty, he's making fun of patriots who talk about the tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants. Now, he incorrectly quoted this Thomas Jefferson quote, and it's from a 1787 letter that Thomas Jefferson wrote to John Adams, his son-in-law, William Stephen Smith. And the quote literally is this, the exact quote is this: "And what country can preserve its liberties if their rulers are not warned from time to time that their people preserve the spirit of resistance? Let them take arms. The remedy is to set them right as to facts, pardon and pacify them. What signify a few lives lost in a century or two? The tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants." Now, James Madison also spoke about the right to bear arms as a bulwark against tyrannical government. It was not, so you could hunt tasty deer or venison, right? Biden said in 2021 during a speech on gun crime prevention that the Second Amendment from the day it was passed limited the type of people who could own a gun and the type of weapon you could own. You couldn't buy a cannon. That was wrong. That was wrong. Even the Washington Post said that was wrong. Cannons owned by private citizens were used from the Revolutionary period all the way up through the Civil War and appeared in regional skirmishes like the Homestead Riot of 1892. But Biden has continued this line of attack, saying that those who say the blood of patriots, and all the stuff about how we're going to have to move against the government, well, the tree of liberty is not water of the blood of patriots. This is his exact quote, by the way. What's happened is that there have never been, if you think you need to have weapons to take on the government. You need F-15s and maybe some nuclear weapons. The point is that there's always been the ability to rationally limit the type of people, the type of weapon that can be owned and who can own it. And see, this is the thing why I even push back against what seem to be reasonable gun control measures. Because the fact is that the reasonable quote unquote gun control measures are usually the ones that are pushed for and passed by Republicans, not Democrats. We know Democrats want to take away our guns. But I would say probably at least half, if not more, of Republicans also want to take our guns, as long as the person involved has been credibly accused of domestic assault, and therefore, they can, run in there and listen to Eye Patch McCain about how we need to have a red flag law, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it just makes sense. It's just common sense. If someone has proven themselves to be a danger to others, and, they've had a mental health evaluation, and a doctor has weighed in, and we need to trust the science, and we need to take people's guns because the doctor said so, and you need to go out and get the 25 jabs in order because the doctor says so, because we need to trust the science on this one. And I just say, fuck you. No. How about no? How about due process, right? For everybody, even for people who are a little screwy in the head, even for people like Joe Biden, right? It is so important for us to protect our rights to bear arms that we stop the creeping tyranny before it begins. All right, now I'm going to go to a commercial break because I'm going to go get Zach Weissmueller from Reason Magazine. I like the point that Elizabeth Fanning Press made over on the live stream. She says, what does Ukraine use? Great point. They're giving away full autos to citizens and civilians in Ukraine, and they're trying to take them away from us here. What do you think about that? We'll be back with more on the Wake Up America show. Guns and drugs on wakeupamericashow.com.
I like shooting things, but whenever I can't shoot something, I like to cut things. My life isn't all about shooting and stabbing and cutting, though. Sometimes I have to do actual work, but when I work, I still like to have fun. And there's nothing less fun than trying to cut with a crappy knife. Thankfully, from the ancient sect of Christian knights, who also loved cutting and stabbing, comes a new implement that has received my personal blessing, the Templar knife. Like the ancient sword of Excalibur, you don't choose a Templar knife, it chooses you. You just decide what kind you want on the website first, however, and then order it online, and then it chooses you. The Templar knife comes in a variety of shapes. As a man of culture and taste, I have decided I will never use a terrible knife again. And thanks to the inspiration provided by this excellent product, I have decided to launch a new crusade against anyone using less than superior knives. Join me, brothers and sisters, by visiting uppercuttactical.com/pages/Templar-knives. That's a lot of slashes. For that, you'll need a Templar knife. For 10% off, use code AP for Liberty and join me in a quest for glory, for liberty, for Christendom, for the Templar knife. Get yours today.
Fire.
Hello, this is Barack Obama, and let me tell you why Austin Peterson stinks, and you should never pay attention to anything that he has to say. First of all, he's a libertarian, and we all know libertarians are idiots. They don't realize how important government is to everything that we do. I recently became aware that Austin has opened up a libertarian shop at apeforlibertyshop.com. Now, I'm asking you as a personal favor to me that you never ever visit apeforlibertyshop.com. With all of the great Liberty merchandise there, the last thing that we need to do is to get people spreading this message around the country, because then they might start thinking that they don't need government. And that's the last thing that good Democrats like us want. So if you love democracy, like me, and hate freedom, then don't visit AP for Liberty Shop. Like I said, whatever you do, do not visit aporlibertyshop.com. I'm Barack Obama, and I approve this message.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
I would remind you that extremism in the defense of liberty is no vice.
It is better to settle these matters in the courts than on the streets, and new laws are needed at every level. But law alone cannot make men see right.
Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show at wakeupamericashow.com. All right, well, we just got done making the case for the full legalization of F15 fighter jets for citizens. Can we get any more ridiculous? I think we can. Actually, I think our next topic might be a little bit of a ratcheting down of things. Who knows? We'll have to see. How about decriminalizing all drugs? Yes, that's right, all drugs. One of those ideas that sounds totally insane. You'd have to be a crazy person to make that argument. Well, we kind of make that argument every day here on that show, so, maybe it's a little bit more mundane. Joining us now to discuss, he's a video journalist and a commentator for Reason.com. He says he's interested in that which secures our liberty, promotes peaceful cooperation, and keeps authoritarians at bay. Sounds like our kind of guy. He's Zach Weissmueller, and he's joining us now. Good morning, Zach. Thank you for joining us today.
Good morning, Austin. Good to be with you.
Good to see you today. Boy, anything that ticks off authoritarians is the kind of thing that gets me excited. So yesterday, as I was scrolling through my timeline, Zach, I saw that a lot of these authoritarian right-wingers were out there retweeting this tweet about lolbertarians and how libertarians are so stupid and how dare they, and how libertarians want to legalize drugs so that they can go off and just have a good time, and all we care about is wild sex and drugs and all that kind of stuff. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I think I saw that Elon Musk had actually started this, not by saying anything, but by simply hearting your tweet. What happened yesterday, Zach?
Well, yeah, that's the power of the Elon Musk. This tweet had been picking up steam over the weekend, and then sort of simmering, and then Elon's poured the gasoline on that fire, and it erupted. But my point, the point I was making is just as you set up, most Americans perceive this as totally insane, but the idea of decriminalizing all drugs. But if you dig into the details and look at ways that this has been tried elsewhere, it's actually a completely rational policy. And there's ways that we who support this policy I think might be able to talk about it a little bit better in a way that at least opens people's minds to considering it from a new perspective.
So don't freak out the normies, essentially. How do you do that?
Well, what made me write this in the first place was I was talking with somebody about this at, of all places, a children's birthday party. Where it was a bunch of the dads just talking. We were talking about the Silk Road, as you do at children's birthday parties, which is for people who don't know, the illegal underground online drug market started by Ross Ulbricht, where people could go online, spend their Bitcoin, and have psychedelics or hard drugs shipped to their home address if they so wanted. And someone was explaining this, and one of the dads was getting increasingly horrified. He'd never heard of it, and I at some point interjected and said, I actually think that it was kind of a good idea. And then he had a big shocked face. And then I started to explain the idea of harm reduction, the idea that, first of all, you're taking out the interactions with dangerous people who might be involved with the drug trade. So that's reducing violence. It was kind of like a Yelp for drug dealers. So people would tell you which people had high quality, pure products and which ones to avoid. And there was message boards where people would talk about, how to take drugs a little bit more safely. And once I started explaining that, maybe it's not an ideal situation that people are, of course, it's not an ideal situation that people are addicted to certain drugs, but if you can make things a little bit safer and reduce some of the harms by putting it, taking some of the bad things that come along with the black market away, then that's actually an improvement. And I'm not going to say that I totally changed his mind and he wants to legalize all drugs now, but he was at least open to hearing that. And I could tell he'd never really thought about it in that way before. And so that's what made me think, we should think more about how we're communicating with the normies, as you put it.
If you're just tuning into the Wake Up America show, I'm speaking to Zach Weissmueller from Reason Magazine. We're talking about a tweet that he posted that went viral because it got hearted by Elon Musk. It's the touch of life on Twitter over there. So how about this? How about a little bit of pushback, Zach? How would you respond to critics, of which there were many on that thread, who said that San Francisco is a perfect example of your libertarian utopia? You've got needles all over the streets where children are on their way to school and they have to step over those needles. You've got addiction rates that are skyrocketing, people who are, defecating on the streets there in San Francisco. Is San Francisco a libertarian utopia?
I'd say it's the furthest thing from it in a lot of ways. And I'm sympathetic to those arguments, honestly, because I spent 15 years living in Los Angeles. Just last year, I moved to Florida. I was kind of escaping some of the madness of the West Coast there. And I've done a lot of work documenting the problems in places like San Francisco, Portland, even Los Angeles. And what I will say is, first of all, a lot of those problems predated any sort of decriminalization efforts that have taken place in those cities. None of these places have gone full decriminalization. They've taken steps like allowing needle exchanges and things like that. But what I will say is that I think what libertarians can bring to this that's distinct from the kind of progressive version of decriminalization is it has to be paired with a few things. One, a respect for property rights. So not allowing people to just camp out in front of people's businesses and do this sort of thing, and enforcement of just like basic quality of life laws. That's something that, unfortunately, when some of this stuff has been tried in some of the bluer jurisdictions, it's been paired with a decriminalization of everything, and that's not really going to work. And then the other thing is, if we look at a place that has actually implemented this somewhat successfully, you look overseas to Portugal, and they have paired it with a really robust treatment system. And they also have incentives to get people into that treatment. And sometimes that's, when somebody is breaking a law, instead of going to jail, they have the option of going into a treatment, and they might take that deal. And so if you can pair it with things and also, not allow a free-for-all on the sidewalks, then you're not going to see San Francisco and Portland play out.
Typically, every generation has a new drug that the law enforcement likes to push out as the newest, biggest threat. In the 80s, I think we had the crack craze. In the 90s, it was, heroin, and, then there was methamphetamine. And now the drug of choice for law enforcement, for them to pinpoint, pin the tail on the donkey, if you will, is fentanyl. And the fact is fentanyl is an extremely dangerous drug, and it's flowing across the southern border into the United States. It's fueling violence in Mexico, and it's killing people here in the United States. I mean, isn't this drug, this extra dangerous drug, isn't it something that should be perhaps an exception to the decriminalization of all drugs, Zach?
Fentanyl, the flooding of fentanyl into the market is driving the overdose crisis. There's no other way to look at it than that. When you look, there's about last count, there was about 107,000 overdose deaths. About 70 something thousand of those were from fentanyl. That's huge. And then you have to ask the question of, why is fentanyl now the drug of choice? This was a phenomenon that was driven by prohibition. We haven't legalized drugs or decriminalized drugs in the United States. Fentanyl is so popular because it's a lab-generated, very potent substance that is easy to smuggle over a border in large quantities. So it's just, from an economics point of view, if you're a black market dealer, it makes sense to go with fentanyl. If you imagine a system where it's legal, fentanyl is a substitute for opioids, or it's a substitute for opioids. And so if you can imagine a system where people could actually just get access to what they're addicted to in a safe setting where they can test it and verify that this is pure, that alone would cut, what we say, like 70% of the overdose deaths, because you're getting the fentanyl out of the system. People who are ODing on fentanyl don't want to OD on fentanyl. They're just going for what is freely available to them on the streets.
If you're just tuning in to the Wake Up America show, I'm speaking to Zach Weissmueller from Reason Magazine about a tweet that he posted that went viral about why we should decriminalize all drugs. Now, a couple of situations. One, Zach, I'd like you to respond to the question of one of the non-narcotic drugs, the question of antibiotics. And then the second part of a question, I'd like you to address a scenario where, all drugs being decriminalized, major corporations, ones that, are pushing opioids, all of a sudden turn themselves to producing fentanyl, narcotics, and all those kinds of things. So I'd like you to start by answering the question of, would you allow people to be able to buy antibiotics over the counter, knowing every time that they had a sniffle, they would go out there and they would buy antibiotics, whether or not they had a bacterial infection or not, and then create breeds of superbugs that would turn around and affect the population at large? Or do you think that antibiotics should be restricted? And then the second question that I'd like you to answer and address is, do you envision a scenario where there's giant fentanyl ads in Times Square, or, the latest meth or crack, all kinds of, narcotic drugs, where it's such a free market that, it's like, the Ayn Rand's dystopian, video game, what was BioShock, where everybody's just running around the streets injecting themselves. Start with the antibiotics question, if you wouldn't mind.
The antibiotics question is interesting. I haven't thought too much about that, actually, but I would say that the thing with restricting antibiotics is that you could. I think that there's a case for kind of a strong stigma against selling antibiotics just to anybody, but people are going to need access to antibiotics, and there's
That's a tough one, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. Sure.
No, it's okay. It's okay to not know everything, because we can't say that always that we know everything. But the reason why I brought it up to you is because honestly, I've been looking for a good answer, Zach, and sometimes we just don't have good answers to everything. If there's any good argument that could ever be made for any drug restriction, it's probably antibiotics, and that's about all I've ever been able to find. So
Yeah,
So
there's
I guess
such a large externality that's
Mhm.
that's a tough one. I'll have to think about that one. As per regards to your second question about kind of fentanyl ads in Times Square, what I'm talking about in this tweet thread that I put out is decriminalization. So there's this distinction between decriminalizing and legalizing or commercializing. And, I'm not saying that commercializing is off the table, but when I'm talking about communicating with people for kind of a practical step that we can take forward, what I'm talking about is saying that we're just no longer going to punish people for buying or selling drugs to each other. That this is something that you're not going to go to jail for that simple act of engaging in that transaction. Now, in terms of scaling up to full sale, like licensed sales, that I think is a next step that we would have to consider. But in the meantime, I would say that, and it's something that's never been tried, full-scale commercialization. So I can understand why people would be wary of that and worried about kind of the marketing machines of big corporations getting behind this. I think that we should experiment with what has been proven to show success in places like Portugal, as I mentioned before. Small steps allow this to happen at the city and state level. See what happens, and then if the world's not falling apart, if overdoses aren't skyrocketing, you have to remember the context of the overdose crisis we're facing right now. Drugs are not legal or decriminalized in the United States. So you have to start from the baseline we have now. And then if you see improvement, then you can kind of keep figuring out a way to do this while balancing people's concerns that, you're not marketing fentanyl to children. And children are, a different
Well, that was
thing.
going to be my next
can set
question,
a
Zach,
limit.
because so one last kind of question or question series here for you before we let you go. So in 2016, it became a bit of a meme that I was booed when I ran for president and the Libertarian Party for saying that there should be laws that restrict the sale of drugs to 5-year-olds. There were quite a few boos, and there may be several dozen boos from the anarchist caucus within the Libertarian Party at that time. Kind of embarrassing. One would think that libertarians would understand that there's such a thing as consent and that children need to be able to give consent, and that since children can't give consent, that they should be protected, if not by their parents, then by a government which should hold their rights in escrow. But if you're an anarchist, that's a different question, right? Whose responsibility is it to protect the rights of children? So I guess my question is decriminalizing all drugs, would you still maintain laws that protect 5-year-olds from being sold heroin?
I would, yes. I have no problem with setting age limits on things. Like it's kind of like a libertarianism is for adults, and then we have a sliding scale. There's kind of like a sliding scale of rights that you start to gain as you get older and more rational and able to take responsibility for your own life. So yes, I don't have any problem with restricting things like fentanyl or heroin from a child walking into a store and buying or something like that.
My argument has always been that if we take it out of the shadows and that if we bring it into the light of day, that we'll actually have an easier time protecting kids from it, and it also demystifies it and makes it a lot less cool when mom and dad are doing it. Zach Weissmueller from Reason Magazine. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with our listeners before I let you go?
Yeah, well, I'll just say that I've done quite a few documentaries on these topics. I have 2 20-minute documentaries on the opioid crisis. So if you just go into YouTube, type in Reason TV opioids, you'll see both of them. And they're about the way, and this is something we didn't really touch on, that prohibition, the drug war. One of the side effects of the kind of war on opioids is legitimate pain patients not being able to get access to opioids because, there are people who really need these drugs and are in, excruciating pain. So that's another unfortunate side effect. So I would just direct people to those documentaries as well.
You make a very good case, Zach, and congratulations on that viral tweet. Do us a favor, if you ever do come to a conclusion about antibiotics, come back to us and let us know what you find out, will you?
Will do. Thanks, Austin.
Thanks for your time today. Have a great week, and we appreciate your respect for individual liberty. That's Zach Weissmueller. Send us a text. Did you like him? 573-319-1586 is the text line you can send into the show. I thought that was a great interview, don't you? Love to hear from you on that one. We'll be back with more on the Wake Up America Show at wakeupamericashow.com.
Want an engaging website to boost your business? You're just a click away from 5-star Fiverr talent. Hundreds of freelancer skills like web design. Head to Fiverr.com today and get something started.
American conservatism is distinct, like America is distinct from the United Kingdom. American conservatism's roots comes out of the Wild West, out of pioneerism. The difference between American conservatives and European conservatives is that Americans are cowboys. We are that God, guns, gold, and girls. It's wild here. And we should stay that way. We shouldn't allow a European version of conservatism to come and infect us here. We like it wide open spaces here, deep in the heart of Texas and all that.
Hey there, it's your favorite Vice President Joe Biden. I wanted to talk to you today about the Wake Up America show, the best source for all your political news and commentary. But before I get started, let me just make sure I have all my notes in order. Okay, where was I? All right, the Wake Up America show. It's a great way to stay informed and make your voice heard. Boy, what was I saying again? Oh, right. The Wake Up America show. It's important that we all stay engaged and knowledgeable about what's going on in our country and, the thing. But hold on, where was I going with all this? Oh, yeah. The Wake Up America show. It's a fantastic resource. And if you really want to make a difference, man, you can sign up to be a monthly donor at wakeupamericashow.com/support. Now, where was I? Oh, that's right, the Wake Up America show. So if you want to stay woke and support a great cause, head on over to wakeupamericashow.com/support and sign up to be a monthly donor today. And if you're feeling generous, you can even give a donation in my name. Thanks for listening, and keep on keeping on, America. Come on, man.
Thank you for watching the Wake Up America show with my dad. Today, I'd like to share with you 3 reasons why you should visit Dad's online store at apforlibertyshop.com. Number 1, you can get exclusive freedom-loving merch designed by AP himself, or me mom, Steffi. Liberty Laura has made some designs as well, and blimey, they are great! Number 2, most of these products are so wicked that they aren't even allowed to be advertised on Facebook or Instagram. Modern machine guns and a proper keychain. Plus, our Grover Cleveland t-shirt is so spicy apparently that leftists on Facebook specifically banned it from appearing on the website. Number 3, you're supporting liberty lovers just like you. Spend your money where you earn it, and you help me pups build a community that supports what you believe. Bloody hell, this commercial is running too long. Gotta run. Bye now. Don't forget to visit apforlibertyshop.com. That's apforlibertyshop.com.
Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America Show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. How are you feeling today? Happy Tuesday. We appreciate you coming in here today and joining us, all 33 of you over there in the live stream. Can I ask you a real quick favor? If you haven't already, would you mind liking the stream? That way it gets shared out to more people. It's been really exciting to see all the growth on the YouTube channel. Boy, I could show you all the metrics, but I don't know if you'd believe them. It's been wild. It's been wacky. It's been weird. You know what? Actually, I think I can show you how we're doing here. I can give you a little brief demo, actually. Hold on one second. Do you want a quick tour of the back end of my YouTube? How about that? Let's do that. Let's take a look at what you guys have been doing. Channel analytics. Boom. This is some good stuff. Very exciting. Got an alert yesterday about our views are up 483%. Take a look at this. All right, let's go ahead and transition over to my demonstration scene so you can see this. Take a look. This is the channel analytics. Let me head over there so you can see it. 60,631 views. And a lot of this has to do with, if you take a look over here at these little shorts that I've been creating, right? So FDR's Hidden Gun Secrets, Harry Truman's Amazing Gun Collection, Cheap and Deadly, right? So these are my little 1-minute videos that I've been creating. But the views on the channel, take a look at this. This is the last 28 days, right? Really been blowing up. I got this little educational thing. It says 483% more views on the channel. So we are really cooking with gas. Look at this, last 90 days. Now let's keep in mind that the Wake Up America show launched in September. Okay, so things have been going very well because we start out here, and you got to be persistent. You're not going to get famous overnight, so you start out and it's like, a few hundred a day, 100 a day. You're like, oh God, on Saturdays, right? It's a day you don't do the streams, but then all of a sudden, blip, right? November 29th. I think that was the when Kanye went nuts. I'm not sure. December, little blip, boom. Then I start to produce these short videos that are coming out. And then look at this. Now, these things, boom, 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 boom. And the growth of the channel has been fantastic. So you can see the watch time. You can see how much money I made there. It's not a lot, but that's okay because the idea is that in the future that revenue will continue to grow. Can't live off of that, but you can pay a couple of bills here and there. You can see the subscribers. Now that's really what's interesting. So this was back when in October when I went on Timcast last time, and I told people to subscribe. We got 190 subscribers. But now, let's take a look here in the last 28 days because this is the trend. Look at this, right? Sometimes you lose subscribers. It happens. People see your content. They're like, oh, they're not into it. But lately, this is the last since January 7th, the beginning of this month. The growth of the channel here, boom, and look at this, we're taking off, right? So it's like growth 147 subscribers. I mean, that's good news. That's really good news because that means that we are on the path towards sustainability. And we've got our gold sponsor, Lear Capital, who's come on board. We're going to be adding some more sponsors as well. It's really exciting about the new sponsors because that means that, again, that we'll continue through the rest of this year. I mean, wouldn't it be nice to see how where we're at the end of this year? Wouldn't that be nice to see, in December that the show is growing, that we've got a staff around here, that we're continuing to grow and we're making money and everything's going copacetic? One of the things that you can do to support the channel too, as well, is if you haven't already, check out the AP for Liberty shop at ap4libertyshop.com. We got all kinds of awesome items over there. And my lovely wife, Stephanie, made some awesome Wake Up America merchandise for you as well. So if you're a fan of the show, get some. I'm going to get myself one of those awesome Wake Up America show sweaters. And I'm actually designing, get this, and I didn't want to let it out the cat out of the bag too early, but I don't think he's even here this morning, but I'm actually designing a Hawaiian t-shirt for Chris Morrill. Watch, he doesn't even buy it, but I'm probably going to buy it for myself and make it. So I'm learning how to design Hawaiian t-shirts just for Chris Morrill. So don't say I never did anything for you. All right, let's go get Camellia Peterson. We're going to talk to her about the marijuana czar. God, it's all been about drugs and guns this morning. It's crazy. We're talking about the marijuana czar that's being created, position that's being created here in the state of Missouri. It's like a diversity officer. It's really weird. We'll talk about that when we get back on the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com.
Good morning to the Cantina crew. This is Elon Musk, the CEO of Twitter. And I just want to say thank you for watching the Wake Up America show. I've decided that Austin Peterson will be the new CEO of Twitter.com, effective immediately. First thing to do, though, is I've got to go and blast off into space.
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty. I am not a perfect messenger, but I think I'm a damn good one. This is a replica of our first president's flintlock pistol. You have my full support, my respect, and my gun.
I think that at the heart of my philosophy is much more libertarianism than well, that's the fashionable word these days, I guess. A conservative is no longer just that. He's a libertarian and always has been.
Yet any time you and I question the schemes of the do-gooders, we're denounced as being against their humanitarian goals. They say we're always against things, we're never for anything.
What is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation.
Well, the trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
Conservative, so-called, is the one that says less government, get off my back, get out of my pocket, and let me have more control of my own destiny.
If I had to pick up the phone, call 911 for one of my family members or one of my neighbors, what would I do if no one was on the other end to respond? What if there was no 911? You can be a part of the solution.
Anybody can be a firefighter. Male, female, younger, older.
We have school teachers. We have leaders in business.
Is me, you, anyone that wants to be. There is no typical firefighter.
Do you hate the deep state? Do you reject the Antichrist in all his ways? Do you believe that aliens controlled LBJ to assassinate John F. Kennedy? Did you know that the shot can put chemicals in you that will make you more sensitive to 5G? Do you love America? Do you want more freedom? Do you like smoking hot red-headed libertarians? Then the AP for Liberty shop is for you! Check out all the awesome new merch and have a happy new year! Fight the deep state, reject the Antichrist. Visit AP for Liberty shop and get your patriotic merchandise now, or the deep state wins.
Good Good morning, Rise and Freedom. Happy Tuesday. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America Show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. All right, well, I couldn't find a topic that would make my next guest squirm, so I guess we'll just have to be normal today. Joining us now, the inimitable Camelia Peterson joining us right now. Good morning, CJ. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
All right, can you say that word?
Inimitable? I mean, I guess.
Yeah, I guess you can say that word, actually. Good job. Let's give her a round of applause there.
Thank you.
Yes, CJ, glad to have you here. So I read this story yesterday that in Missouri, now that we've legalized cannabis, or I know that you voted against it, Missouri regulators say that they're close to naming a marijuana chief equity officer. What the hell is this? Is this critical race theory and marijuana?
Well, contrary to kind of what was going around before the measure was voted on, it's not CRT, but it does create this diversity and equity person who seems to be largely unaccountable to anyone. And I guess the thing that they're trying to address is all the concerns. While all of this was happening earlier in the year, there were a lot of minority groups, organizations who were opposed to it because they felt that were opposed to how this was done. They felt like it wouldn't be handled well, and there were complaints about there not being enough diversity in the business owners in the medical marijuana program, because of course, they limit applicants. And when you don't use a free market approach, then, it happens. So they were in an attempt, the organizers of this bill that went on the ballot, in an attempt to address this, created this chief equity officer. And during the time leading up to the vote, there were people all of a sudden started becoming aware of this on the right. And so there was a lot of pushback, and there was kind of some of the typical overreaction in that they heard chief equity officer and education in the same sentence and immediately went to assuming that would be tied to the schools and that this person would then be educating kids about drugs. So that's not true. So essentially, in order to ensure diversity in the licenses that are distributed as part of the marijuana program licensing, this equity officer is supposed to approve a certain number of micro licenses. And so there are some criteria for this. So in order to qualify for a micro license, there are 6 criteria. You have to meet one of them. So the first one is that you have to have lived below the poverty line 3 out of the last 10 years, be a disabled veteran, convicted of a non-violent marijuana charge in the last year, or be a spouse or guardian of someone who was. You can live in an area with high poverty or high marijuana incarceration rates, or graduated from an unaccredited school district. So those are some interesting criteria, and it seems fairly broad. I don't know how much diversity you'll end up with there. Part of the problem is that they have pointed out, and this is that because of federal law, it's pretty much impossible to get a loan for your marijuana businesses because there's a lot of obstacles. Banks are not really allowed to do that just because of federal law. So I think that the economic obstacle is going to be a bigger factor than a lot of these other things.
If you're just tuning into the Wake Up America show, I'm speaking to Camelia Peterson. She is talking to us a little bit about how Missouri's legalization of cannabis rollout is going. So then what are the next steps here for legalization in Missouri? Because, if somebody wanted to smoke marijuana now, is it legal, or does this start in February? And also, where the hell is my Yingling?
It is legal now. I can't remember the date, but I think it became legal like within the last month. So you are legal
Smoke
to
them if you got them.
Yep. So everybody could pull their stash out from hiding and do it in the open now. And what's so funny is that people, well, not really funny, is that when we talk about the diversity and the equity and the disparities when we talk about drugs, It really, as much as conservatives kind of like to deny this, there is a lot of truth in the disparity in incarceration rates for, Black people when it comes to marijuana convictions, and even in how they are profiled and targeted, because I guarantee you people do not realize how many middle-class white friends they have that use marijuana and have for a long time on a regular basis, and they just don't have a clue. And you don't ever hear about those people getting in trouble.
But is it possible that Black people are committing more violent crimes and therefore they're getting caught with drugs while they're committing other crimes than other races?
Yeah, sure. That's entire. I mean, of course, there are a whole lot of other factors involved there, but I know you're going to get me in trouble now. It's true. There are a whole lot more factors that come into play with that. Of course, there's certainly, that's a factor, but I don't think anybody can deny that those are easy targets. I mean, yes. Let's just be real.
Okay, it's true. Well, actually, I've read those same statistics that you quoted there, and they find that white people actually do drugs at a slightly higher rate than minorities do. But yeah, we do get caught a lot less. Maybe we're better hiding our stash. If you're just tuning into the Wake Up America show, nice little eyebrow twitch there. You can send us a text at 573-319-1586. All right. So what else is on Missouri's agenda this year? I guess we're banning you ladies from showing your little naked arms on the floor of the House of Representatives here in Missouri. I thought we had a right to bear arms.
We have needed common sense dress reform for so long. I am telling you, it was about time. And all those men just need to sit down and not worry about women's clothing. Kidding. It was not the men. It was never going to be the men who were going to criticize what ladies were wearing. I mean, I don't think I know a single man who would touch that with a 10-foot pole.
So wait a minute here. Let's just back this up for a moment. What are we even talking about here? What is this rule? Ed, explain it to me like I'm 5.
Okay, so the Missouri legislature, the House of Representatives, for the first thing they do in a session is they pass their House rules, rules that determine their conduct and how business is conducted, things like that. And so that includes the dress code. And they have a dress code. I am in favor of a dress code. I think dress codes are a good thing. So for men, it's something like, a suit and tie, or a jacket, and dress shoes and a tie or whatever. And so this was kind of there are sometimes loopholes in these, and on the Senate side, this was sort of infamously flaunted when Senator Mike Moon showed up on the Senate floor in overalls and a suit jacket, created kind of a brouhaha. But so in the House this time, it was brought up that women, instead of just having professional dress, and I can't remember exactly how it was already phrased, there was already a dress code in place, but it had not specified that they should wear jackets on the House floor. So they decided that they should wear jackets on the House floor. And then they amended that to say that, well, you could also, sweaters and cardigans would qualify as jackets. So I guess we just need to cover arms is maybe what this is all about. I don't know. You can't wear a long sleeve dress. I don't know. Anyway, but the thing going around that gained national media attention was that, the men are trying to tell the women how to dress. And that was not it at all. It was the women who were so concerned about how the women were dressing, which isn't that how it always is?
Of course it is. Joni Rankin over the live stream chimed in and says, showing flabby arms has never been attractive. True or false?
Okay, true. But I mean, come on, if we're going to start getting really nitpicky about, dress codes, then, I want to put my own things in there. And so men should never be able to wear dress shoes on the House floor that have those white soles. That's atrocious. If you're a man and you're wearing, a dark brown dress shoe that has a white sole, don't do that.
Now, wait a minute. Doesn't the Missouri Senate not have a dress code? Because didn't last year we had Senator Mike Moon show up in overalls and they tried to censure him?
They do have a dress code, and actually he lost his committee positions for a few weeks as they, because we like to spend time on really important things, But no, he kind of flaunted the lack of specificity in the dress code because I think it only specified that you had to wear a jacket and I don't know if it said pants or what, but anyway, it didn't specify shirt or it didn't specify what you wore under the jacket. So he wore overalls. Silliness.
I'm speaking to Camelia Peterson here. We're both Missourians, so we're talking about some of the shenanigans that are happening here as the Missouri legislative session has already kicked off and been in session for what, I guess today, one day. So
yeah, last week and this week.
Last week and this week. Chris Moore over the live stream says it's just like The Handmaid's Tale. Yes.
Oh, I know.
It's
right?
exactly like that. Is there anything else that's actually of legislative importance that we expect them to take up this year? Any kind of bills that we're watching that we're hoping for that might advance freedom here in Missouri?
Well, I do think that, again, school choice or education freedom, school choice is kind of becoming one of those terms that nobody seems to know what it means anymore. And so there's a lot of confusion around that. But education freedom, giving parents and children more options in their education choices is something that has national momentum right now. We've seen that a lot with Corey DeAngelis and some of the other states that have been passing, school choice legislation. And so there are several things that are on the table in Missouri for that. And unfortunately, there is a movement on the right that is completely anti-school choice, which is troubling, but it is what it is. And so we've got work to do. And we will probably also see legislation that will either reduce or eliminate corporate tax, as well as another attempt to get rid of the personal property tax. So, we want to see zero income tax overall, but a little bit of a long road to get there.
For sure. We do have some high taxes here in the state of Missouri, and it's something that we need to work on. If you're just tuning into the Wake Up America show, I'm speaking to Camelia Peterson. You can send us a text at 573-319-1586. Camelia, is there anything else that you think that our listeners should know before we let you go?
I don't know what it would be. Everybody have a great week and keep doing what you're doing, because everything that you do makes a difference, unless it's just, ranting and raving online. And then I would tell you to get out and go do something.
touch some grass if you can actually still see it under the snow. Camelia, thank you very much for your time today. We appreciate you very much. We'll see you on Thursday.
Have a great Tuesday, everyone.
We'll see you later. We'll squirm her on Tuesday. How about that? We'll make up for it. You can send us a text to 573-319-1586. Tell us what you think of Camelia Peterson. All right, we still got more great interviews to go. BX Bullet to talk about the mysterious disappearance of the wife of the leader of the Church of Scientology. Shelley Miscavige has been missing for quite some time. Where did she go? Talk about that when we get back on the Wake Up America show at wakeupamericashow.com.
Want an engaging website to boost your business? You're just a click away from 5-star Fiverr talent. Hundreds of freelancer skills like web design. Head to Fiverr.com today and get something started.
American conservatism is distinct, like America is distinct from the United Kingdom. American conservatism's roots comes out of the Wild West, out of pioneerism. The difference between American conservatives and European conservatives is that Americans are cowboys. We are that God, guns, gold, and girls. It's wild here. And we should stay that way. We shouldn't allow a European version of conservatism to come and infect us here. We like it wide open spaces here, deep in the heart of Texas and all that.
Hey there, it's your favorite Vice President Joe Biden. I wanted to talk to you today about the Wake Up America show, the best source for all your political news and commentary. But before I get started, let me just make sure I have all my notes in order. Okay, where was I? All right, the Wake Up America show. It's a great way to stay informed and make your voice heard. Boy, what was I saying again? Oh, right. The Wake Up America show. It's important that we all stay engaged and knowledgeable about what's going on in our country and, the thing. But hold on, where was I going with all this? Oh, Oh, yeah. The Wake Up America Show. It's a fantastic resource. And if you really want to make a difference, man, you can sign up to be a monthly donor at wakeupAmericaShow.com/support. Now, where was I? Oh, that's right, the Wake Up America Show. So if you want to stay woke and support a great cause, head on over to wakeupAmericaShow.com/support and sign up to be a monthly donor today. And if you're feeling generous, you can even give a donation in my name. Thanks for listening, and keep on keeping on, America. Come on, man.
Want an engaging website to boost your business? You're just a click away from 5-star Fiverr talent. Hundreds of freelancer skills like web design. Head to Fiverr.com today and get something started.
American conservatism is distinct, like America is distinct from the United Kingdom. American conservatism's roots comes out of the Wild West, out of pioneerism. The difference between American conservatives and European conservatives is that Americans are cowboys. We are that God, guns, gold, and girls. It's wild here. And we should stay that way. We shouldn't allow a European version of conservatism to come and infect us here. We like it wide open spaces here, deep in the heart of Texas and all that.
Hey there, it's your favorite Vice President Joe Biden. I wanted to talk to you today about the Wake Up America Show, the best source for all your political news and commentary. But before I get started, let me just make sure I have all my notes in order. Okay, where was I? All right, the Wake Up America Show. It's a great way to stay informed and make your voice heard. Boy, what was I saying again? Oh, right. The Wake Up America Show. It's important that we all stay engaged and knowledgeable about what's going on in our country and, the thing. But hold on, where was I going with all this? Oh, yeah. The Wake Up America Show. It's a fantastic resource. And if you really want to make a difference, man, you can sign up to be a monthly donor at wakeupAmericaShow.com/support. Now, where was I? Oh, that's right, the Wake Up America Show. So if you want to stay woke.
Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America Show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. Where is Shelley Miscavige? Actress Leah Remini praised Jared Carmichael at the Golden Globes after he joked about the alleged disappearance of Scientologist Shelley Miscavige while hosting the Golden Globe Awards last Tuesday. Remini, she was also responded to a tweet about the Carmichael Show alum sucking the air out of the room full of celebrities by bringing up the controversial organization at the event. Love it, she wrote. Thank you, Jared Carmichael. She's a former church member who has turned into an outspoken critic of the Church of Scientology, and she tweeted about this video and posted a clip. Let's take a look at this from our Twitter weirdness files. This is Jared Carmichael hosting the Golden Globes. I know you all didn't watch it. I didn't either, but take a look at this.
I found these 3 Golden Globe Awards that Tom Cruise returned. Look, just the host briefly or whatever, but I have a pitch. I think maybe we take these 3 things and exchange them for the safe return of Shelly Miscavige. I found these.
Yeah, listen to how they respond to that as soon as he says it, and there's a bit of it's a shocking statement to make because consider that in Hollywood, where the Golden Globes is happening, you've got to know a lot of the members of that audience are members of the Church of Scientology. Take a listen.
Exchange them for the safe return of Shelly Miscavige.
Oh, see, that's the thing is that listen to that again one more time.
Miscavige. I found.
See, now I'm surprised that there weren't a few boos in there, but they were probably afraid of giving away their position. What did you think of that? Send us a text at 573-319-1586. What are your thoughts on the Church of Scientology? We're going to hear from BX Bullet about that here in just a few minutes. She's a private investigator, and so she's going to be able to give her unique insight into disappearing people cases. This is something that Leah Remini has been talking about for months now because she was friends with Shelly Miscavige and is wondering where her friends are. Now, Carmichael, he cracked this brazen joke, while he's standing on stage at the Beverly Hilton. He's holding these Golden Globe trophies in his arms and he, talking about Tom Cruise, joking about how Tom Cruise, returned them because apparently he did this. Tom Cruise made this gesture in 2021 over the Hollywood Foreign Press Association having no black voters. Okay, well, there you go. But Shelly has not been seen in public since August of 2007, right? She's the wife of Scientology leader David Miscavige. Is it Miscavige or Miscavige? I don't know. And of course, David Miscavige or Miscavige is close friends with Tom Cruise. Now, Leah Remini, she left the Church of Scientology in 2013, and she's joined a slew of people who are advocating for information about Shelly's whereabouts. She even once speculated that she believed that the so-called Queen of Scientology is dead. You may remember Leah Remini as the star of a television show called King of Queens. She said that she became suspicious when Shelly was absent from Tom Cruise's 2006 wedding to Katie Holmes. This is what Leah said. She said Shelly was always with her husband. She was his shadow, not only because she was married to him, but also because she was his top aide. For her not to be in attendance was not only unusual, but also unimaginable. Remini tweeted this in November of 2022 while she was reflecting on the, quote, wedding of the century, right? The Tom Cruise, Katie Holmes wedding. Small addendum to that. I was actually working at FAO Schwartz in New York when I believe Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes came in for like a birthday party for their child while I was working there. And I was like a toy soldier for it. So anyways, just, yes, I was a toy soldier at FAO Schwartz in New York City, if you didn't know that. Anyways, so the case has been closed, apparently. The Los Angeles Police Department has had a missing person report for Shelly that was filed in 2013. But officers say that they had located Shelly and met with her in person. They closed the case. But Remini is speaking out, and using her platform to try and talk about Shelly. And as recently as November, Remini penned a 20-part Twitter thread, and she's accused an LAPD officer of dropping the case in exchange for a $20,000 donation to youth programs. The department released a statement shortly after Leah Remini's tweets went viral, reiterating in 2014 the detectives found Shelly to be alive and safe and subsequently closed the missing persons investigation. Now, the accusations that are being made is that many members of the department, the Los Angeles Police Department, are also members of the Church of Scientology, and that this is a wide conspiracy between the police department and the Church of Scientology in Los Angeles, California, to cover up the case of the missing wife of the leader of the Church of Scientology. What do you think about this? This is pretty wild stuff. We need to get more information, and we need to get it from an expert on missing persons. That's BX Bullet, who's going to join us next on the Wake Up America Show at wakeupamericashow.com.
Donald Trump, and I approve this message. Believe me, Austin Peterson is the best. He's got the greatest Wake Up America show I've ever seen. Whenever I tune in the mornings and watch the live stream, let me tell you, he has got the absolute best content. I love his guests. It's just a total blast to watch, and I highly endorse and recommend the Wake Up America show. It's terrific, believe me.
Hello, my name is Kelvin. Welcome to Frenchy Bush. This is my Didi's website. Now I've decided to speak to you with my real voice for the first time ever to tell you about how cool Frenchy Bush is. But I've decided that this is the perfect opportunity to share with you. Frenchy Bush is a good website. You should follow us on socials. If you like Frenchies or any kind of bulldogs, me and my new brother George are going to try to make your life more fun.
Hello, I'm George. My neck isn't really thick yet, but it will be. We are so glad you're here. Please ignore my floating eyeball. It helps me spot predators who might be approaching from the sides.
Didi made Frenchy bullshit to review things that he uses on me and my brother to tell you if it's good or bullshit. Take this collar, for example. Didi really likes it. Didi said it's really handy because us Frenchies got thick necks. Need something really tough. People think Frenchies are little, but if you look at us from below, you can see we are really pretty buff. Beefcake, yes. Look at my creamy thighs and chest. Yes, you like that?
Big brother, please focus.
Frenchy Bush. Please follow us for more great content and read the Frenchy Bush blog for more fun and cool stuff.
I'm a public defender.
I am a public defender.
I'm proud to be a public defender.
80% of Americans accused of a crime will get appointed a public defender.
Everybody from a speeding ticket to capital murder.
For every dollar we spend on public defenders, we spend $3 on prosecutors.
Public defenders have to do pretty much everything on their own.
Social workers, counselors.
Investigating is another piece of it.
The average public defender holds 300 cases annually.
You never feel like there's enough time.
Public defenders have health issues all the time.
A lot of people give up and say, I can't do this work anymore.
Gideon's Promise trains, mentors, and supports public defenders.
There are a lot of people who say that they would not still be public defenders, but for Gideon's Promise.
It's fueled me to continue on in this fight.
Gideon's Promise has changed the face of public defense.
People see us as troublemakers.
Good trouble only.
We don't make it easy. It should not be easy to take away someone's liberty.
Ever hear the one about the frog? Put a frog in a pot of boiling water and it'll jump right out.
Here's my resume again.
But put a frog in a pot of cool water and slowly heat it up, and that frog will boil. It's a lie. But as a metaphor for us and all that we go through as veterans,
any real-world experience.
It's a story that rings true. We make excuses for how we feel. We push everything down. We tell ourselves the lie that it's easier to stay in that boiling water, to disconnect. And some days, maybe it is. But you've never been interested in easy. Make no mistake, reaching out is hard. Do it anyway.
I need help.
You're not alone. You've got this. You are not a frog.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. All right, well, the missing wife of Scientology leader David Miscavige, Shelley Miscavige, is in the news lately when Jared Carmichael at the Golden Globes Awards said that he'd returned Tom Cruise's Golden Globes for the safe return of Shelley Miscavige. Now we're all discussing about the woman who has been missing since apparently 2007, Leah Remini, who is an actress that has been speaking out against the Church of Scientology as a former member, is asking where her friend Shelley is. Joining us now to discuss is a private investigator. She is also a podcaster herself. You can follow her on Twitter and on other platforms at VXBullet TV. She's joining us now for her regular Tuesday appearance. Good morning, VX. Thank you for joining us today.
Hey, Austin. How are you?
Good. Thank you for joining us. I know it's another serious subject, BX, but because your job is sort of to dwell with the dark underbelly, seedy underbelly of things like this, I'd like to get your take on this case.
Well, I do have a lot of experience kind of just digging into cults and things like that. Now, Scientology, that is a big pill to swallow. So that's why I was really excited about this topic. But at the same time, I'm like, how do I keep this short? So what I'm going to do is, I think you finally encouraged me to put out a deep dive on this topic, because one thing that you do is you surprise me with these things. And I'm like, oh man, this is one that I've had on the back burner for the longest time. And so I think I'm going to probably make a video about this and put it up on Odyssey. But yeah, so Shelley Miscavige, Miscavige, it's Miscavige, I think. But Shelley Miscavige, she's dead. I mean, for all intents and purposes, I think that it's pretty silly that we're just supposed to believe this woman is safe and sound. I was listening to somebody last night who was talking about it on a podcast, and they were like, no, somebody saw her 3 years ago. And it was like, who? And they're like, oh, well, they didn't want to be known who they were. I'm like, okay, so she wasn't seen, right? And if you don't see somebody and she's completely missing off the face of the planet for 15 years, I mean, she's not at some secret base, guys. Okay, she's gone. And what's super interesting, and I just actually learned this last night because I didn't know as much about Shelley Miscavige. I know more about the Scientology Church and its roots in occultism. I mean, it's basically, the origins of it are Satanists. It's actually super interesting. And I'm pretty convinced at this point that it's a CIA, some kind of CIA op from the McCarthy era. But I'll save that for, the deep dive. We can get into it if we have time. But Shelley Miscavige, right? Her mom was actually one of the heads of the Scientology Church. And like 20 or so years, like back in the 90s, I think, she absconded from the church with some highly classified documents. And she suicided herself by shooting herself 3 times in the chest and once in the head, as people do. This was this huge scandal at the time, I guess, because it was with a rifle, because that's the thing, it was so hilariously, set up by the church. And it was a big scandal at the time, but I guess I was probably too young to even know anything about it. But and so that's interesting that her mom was connected in that way. Shelley Miscavige had a lot of information that the Scientology Church doesn't want to get out. And one of the reasons that I stray away from believing anything I hear from either side on this is because Scientology is a secret society. It is a secret society. The roots of Scientology are go all the way from the Freemasons to the OTO, the Order Templi Orientis, which is Crowley's organization, and Thelema, which is Crowley's religion, his occult religion. So all of these things have trickled down and formed Scientology. Obviously, we know there's some elite people in the midst, right? There's a lot of stuff that they don't want people to know. On the flip side, there's a lot of people who are fighting the church, and they will also lie and tell lies and do whatever they can to bring the church down. So as plebs in the real world, normies, if you will, all we're seeing are these psyops between these high level organizations flinging back and forth at each other. And it's really difficult for us to really believe anything we hear in this situation. It could be propaganda against the church. It could be propaganda for the church. I mean, the Church of Scientology has an entire propaganda unit where they literally just harass people and levy lawsuits against everybody who tries to expose them because they don't want their secrets getting out. And so, yeah, I mean, to me, I mean, she's dead. I don't know why people are, I feel bad to say that, but it's like, it seems like pretty obvious to me if somebody's gone for 15 years, what do you?
If you're just tuning in to the Wake Up America show with Austin Peterson, I'm speaking to BX Bullet TV. We're speaking to her about the wife of the leader of the Church of Scientology. David Miscavige's wife, Shelley Miscavige, has been missing for over a decade. It was brought to light recently, in large part due to the work of actress Leah Remini, who is someone who escaped from the Church of Scientology. She's been speaking out about it, but it made headlines again recently when Jared Carmichael, who was hosting the Golden Globes, made a joke about returning Tom Cruise's Golden Globes for the safe return, in exchange for the safe return of Shelley Miscavige. We're speaking to BX Bullet TV and about some of the fallout on this. Now, BX, what I think is probably one of the more interesting angles on this is how Leah Remini is sort of accusing the Los Angeles Police Department of corruption, in part that their membership, that many of the members of the Church of Scientology are also police officers. Now, the police closed the missing persons report because they said, hey, they saw her, they met with her, they found her. But Leah Remini doesn't trust the LAPD. Do you?
No. Let's just take it back to a greater time, if you will, back to the 60s. When they covered up Charles Manson's murder for a very long time. We now know that the LAPD was involved in extensive cover-up with the Manson murders. They basically waited until they could not wait any longer. And they were forced into a corner to basically go arrest that guy. They waited 4 months to arrest Charles Manson. The thing about the LAPD and the church is that you got to understand that the Church of Scientology is absolutely paying a lot of money to the church. And this is just as transparent. We can see how much money the Church of Scientology pays to the LAPD every year. They're in their pocket. And, they have a very long history of corruption. And yeah, no, absolutely. The LAPD are the ones who declared Shelley Miscavige's mom's death a suicide. Right. Despite everybody trying to push back, they're like, no, it's suicide, guys. Just like they're saying, nope, she's fine. We talked to her. No, I don't believe them. Why wouldn't she have a picture? Why wouldn't she release a voice recorded statement? Why wouldn't she do something to clear the church's name? And you have to look at this from, the higher order of the church and David Miscavige's point of view. Why wouldn't they want to show that she was alive? They don't want people thinking she's dead. Obviously, they would quash this rumor if they could. And so that's what kind of makes me think that she's no longer.
Well, I'm reading this a Newsweek article from the 11th of January here. It says this: Shelley Miscavige found ? Video potentially reveals secret Scientology base. What kind of angle is Newsweek trying to play here?
Newsweek is, sometimes I read Newsweek's articles and I'm just like, oh my God. I mean, again, it could be propaganda coming from at high levels. We don't know what's real, what's false until I see her in the flesh. I'm not going to believe anything they say. And this goes back to, like saying, the Scientology is a secret society. And this is an angle that I don't see. Honestly, I don't see very much of it anywhere. You can find it in bits and pieces scattered around. But when you really deep dive and put it together, you can really see this picture emerge of L. Ron Hubbard, who was an ex-Navy, I can't think of the word, like a submarine operator, right?
They're the Sea Organization is the name of it.
Yeah. Well, no. He was in the Navy. He was a submarine operator. Yeah, in the Navy. And this was in the 40s. He retired from the Navy and went to work at a psychiatric hospital. In 1948, what we know right now about psychiatric hospitals, and also don't forget, this was the rise of McCarthyism, right? So everybody who was somebody was working for the government in some capacity. If you were a big shot, celebrity influencer, a lot of celebrities back then were actually spies for the CIA because, they had free reign to go back and forth and nobody would suspect them. The same thing with Aleister Crowley, who L. Ron Hubbard got a lot of his manuscripts are mirrors of Crowley texts, occultism. And Crowley was actually an MI5 British intelligence agent. And so the roots here of the entire organization are so, you sniff and you're like, oh yeah, that passed the sniff test for being something a little bit funky. And then when you add in the fact that he was incorporating these elements of hypnosis hypnosis back then was like a super government mind control, highly classified. Everybody who was anybody was trying to figure out the best way to control somebody's mind. It was like the meta back then. And, so the fact that he had studied under at the psychiatric hospital, which as we know now were used by the CIA to do all kinds of weird stuff. And then just all of a sudden goes, hey, whoa, I've got this new, form of hypnosis. Do you want to try it? It's like really all pretty suspect. Then there's also the possibility that he was just like a very narcissistic person trying to prove himself and created a monster. But it is very interesting how this cult has gone so far, gotten so many big members. I mean, that's not true of any other cult, that's why to me, it advances, it breaches that level to secret society. I think at this point, we can assume that there is some very, very high level secret information, possibly even that implicates political members and stuff that's like very, why else would you kill somebody? Who else kills people over stuff like that? A lot of people have mysteriously died around Scientology. And I think that it's not out of the realm of possibility at all that Shelley Miscavige is dead. And they're just trying to cover it up, which is kind of weird that they would just disappear her instead of, making it look like a suicide or something. But
well, I mean, we can only speculate on the possibilities of why they would do it, or, if it happened at all. The possibility is, if she's alive or something like that, maybe she became a hermit. Maybe she is living in an underground bunker for the last 10 years. But it would be very odd to think that somebody would do something like that to themselves, from having a very public role to all of a sudden, living underground. It's,
that's when you got to ask yourself, okay, which is the more likely explanation, that she's underground in a bunker being a hermit, even though she was like a big, like social public facing member of the community for 30 years. Now she's in an underground bunker. I mean, or does it make more sense that she probably suffered the same fate as her mother did?
Yeah, more likely. BX, is there anything else that you think our listeners should know before we let you go?
Oh my gosh. I mean, no, I could talk about this for 2 hours. In fact, I think I'm actually going to put together a deep dive on it, put it up on Odyssey and let people kind of see what I dig up and some of the connections I make between Hubbard, Crowley, this guy, Jack Parsons. Oh my, wait till you hear about this guy. Okay. It's nuts. So yeah, you got me on a roll. I'm excited. I'm going to crank this one out.
Oh, we're excited too, BX. We love to follow your content. You can follow you over on Twitter at BXBulletTV. Are you BX Bullet TV everywhere?
Yeah. So my deep dives are on Odyssey. If you like this weird, quirky, historical stuff, I like to focus on the side stories. Everybody wants to focus on everybody wants like a 5 to 10 minute video just with the gist of it. But mine's more of like a lengthy video that kind of goes into all the weird side stories that are super interesting and paint a very different picture sometimes than the former narrative. So if you like that kind of stuff, it's on Odyssey at BX Bullet TV. I've got a few of those up already.
I'm super into it, BX Bullet. You do terrific weekly interviews with us here on the show to keep us updated on everything that's weird with the occult, with the conspiracies, and with anything that we need to know about.
Oh man, my mind is like, I want to tell you about all of this crazy stuff.
Yeah,
but yeah.
I love it. Well, we'll have to wait until next week. Hey, BX, we appreciate you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you, Austin. You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. We'll talk again next week. What did you think of BX Bullet at BX Bullet TV? Send us a text, 573-319-1586. When we get back, the Riverfront Times at riverfronttimes.com says Missouri's rejected license plates are why we are pure trash. It's going to be a very funny send-off to the show. You don't want to miss it. We'll be back with more on the Wake Up America Show at wakeupAmericaShow.com.
Donald Trump and I approve this message. Believe me, Austin Peterson is the best. He's got the greatest Wake Up America show I've ever seen. Whenever I tune in the mornings and watch the live stream, let me tell you, he has got the absolute best content. I love his guests. It's just a total blast to watch, and I highly endorse and recommend the Wake Up America show. It's terrific, believe me.
Hey, Hello, my name is Kelvin. Welcome to Frenchy Bullshit. This is my Didi's website. Now I've decided to speak to you with my real voice for the first time ever to tell you about how cool Frenchy Bullshit is. But I've decided that this is the perfect opportunity to share with you. Frenchy Bullshit is a good website. You should follow us on socials. If you like Frenchies or any kind of bulldogs, me and my new brother George are going to try to make your life more fun.
Hello, I'm George. My neck isn't really thick yet, but it will be. We are so glad you're here. Please ignore my floating eyeball. It helps me spot predators who might be approaching from the sides.
Didi made Frenchy Bullshit to review things that he uses on me and my brother to tell you if it's good or bullshit. Take this collar, for example. Didi really likes it. Didi said it's really handy because us Frenchies got thick necks. Need something really tough. People think Frenchies are little, but if you look at us from below, you can see we are really pretty buff. Beefcake. Yes. Look at my creamy thighs and chest. Yes. You like that?
Big brother, please focus.
Frenchy Bullshit. Please follow us for more great content and read the Frenchy Bullshit blog for more fun and cool stuff.
I'm a public defender.
I am a public defender.
I'm proud to be a public defender.
80% of Americans accused of a crime will get appointed a public defender.
Everybody from a speeding ticket to capital murder.
For every $1 we spend on public defenders, we spend $3 on prosecutors.
Public defenders have to do pretty much everything on their own.
Social workers, counselors.
Investigating is another piece of it.
The average public defender holds 300 cases annually.
You never feel like there's enough time.
Public defenders have health issues all the time.
A lot of people give up and say, I can't do this work anymore.
Gideon's Promise trains, mentors, and supports public defenders.
There are a lot of people who say that they would not still be public defenders, but for Gideon's Promise.
It's fueled me to continue on in this fight.
Gideon's Promise has changed the face of public defense.
People see us as troublemakers.
Good trouble only.
We don't make it easy. It should not be easy to take away someone's liberty.
Ever hear the one about the frog? Put a frog in a pot of boiling water and it'll jump right out.
Here's my resume again.
But put a frog in a pot of cool water and slowly heat it up, and that frog will boil. It's a lie. But as a metaphor for us and all that we go through as veterans,
You have any real-world experience.
it's a story that rings true. We make excuses for how we feel. We push everything down. We tell ourselves the lie that it's easier to stay in that boiling water, to disconnect. And some days, maybe it is. But you've never been interested in easy. Make no mistake, reaching out is hard. Do it anyway.
I need help.
You're not alone. You've got this. You are not a frog.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Good morning. It's 8:53. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. I got to say thank you to our friend Hikaru over on YouTube, who's explaining to me what BreadTube is. I have no idea what it is. Hikaru said, it's cute that someone thinks we're supposed to care about BreadTube. This is the first time I've seen this. He says, BreadTube are the arrogant socialist streamers and YouTubes. like Hassan, ContraPoints, Jake the Corn Guy, etc. Bread, because Soviet bread lines. Very funny, very funny. Ooh. There we go. I love it. I love it.
How dare you?
How dare you? How dare you, Cara? I guess, swear to God, like, as this show has grown and we've kind of expanded beyond like the original Cantina crew, the people that we've been bringing in here are just so interesting. If this is your first time watching the show this morning and joining us on the Wake Up America show, make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the show, the stream, of course, but hit subscribe and click that bell notification icon and join us in the live stream again. It's a lot of fun. We're a very welcoming crew. We have lots of people in here from different backgrounds and orientations, sexualities, and all that kind of stuff. We're a very welcoming crew, and we love to have more members. So appreciate you joining us today. And if you, again, you are one of the 32 here joining us and you haven't already, make sure you like that stream. We appreciate that very much. LOL, that was weird, says BXB. She says, honestly, a lot of people in Destiny's community have gone around spreading lies about me. Not surprising. Ooh, I got some drama this morning. We love the drama. All right, you guys enjoy over there, and I'll give you something to laugh about before we have to go. And I've got to go do some work, and I've got to write another YouTube video about guns of the presidents. Have you been enjoying that video series? All right, Missouri's rejected license plate names prove that we are pure trash. This is from the Riverfront Times. I'm going to go ahead and scroll through this with you so that you can enjoy. Thanks to a sunshine request filed by the Springfield News Leader, we now know that the state's Department of Revenue is preventing Missourians from expressing their true selves via vanity license plates like have to pee and that ass. If you have kids in the house right now and they can hear me and you got me on loud, you might want to turn me down a little bit. I'm not saying you should leave, but you should know that this is going to get a bit bawdy, if you will. Ann Henry says she got her gold today. Now, Ann, does that mean you got your gold packet? If so, hell yeah. Or did you actually get gold from Lear Capital? If so, that's awesome. Either way, it's awesome. We appreciate that support. Tyranny at the highest levels here, says Flame Half over on Twitch. Good to see you. I love seeing all of our new Twitch streamers as well. You can, she got her gold today. Oh, she got her gold bars. Yes, your second month, your gold bars. Isn't that fun? Right? Monthly subscribers to the YouTube channel get like little perks. You get like statues of liberty next to your name and gold bars by your name. Yes, exactly. All right, so we're talking about Missourians whose rejected license plate names prove we are pure trash. The Department of Revenue rejected 471 applications for vanity plates, they said. That's 471 dash hopes. Oh, for FKSK! Exclamation point. Oh, for sake. Oh, that is very funny. Now, if you have like it says right here, your rejected vanity plate costs you $15 for the application fee. The website states that plates offensive to good taste or decency will be rejected. So whoever wanted fartin must have known they were never going to see that $15 again. FARTN, fartin. A lot of MAGA warriors apparently were trying to get some Let's Go branded ones up there, but they had rejections from the Department of Revenue on that one. All right, are we ready to see the license plates? Here we go. First one, FUXX. Now that was obviously going to get rejected, and but I still thought that was pretty good. All right, continue on down. Yeah, I'm not so sure about that, Chief. That was never going to happen. Eat vegetables? I think they're trying to advertise that we need to eat vegetables. EAT. Oh, wait, that's not vegetables. 2D1X. Okay, what is 2D1X here? I'm not so sure. All right. 2D1X. 2D1X? 2D1X. Don't you hate it when you see a license plate, by the way, of somebody, and they're obviously trying to tell you something and you just can't figure out what it is? I have no idea what this is. If you could figure out what this one means, put that over in the live stream. It can't be two dicks because there's no such thing. Nobody has two dicks. Well, I did actually see a Reddit thread where some guy did have two dicks, and it was a really weird Reddit thread, but apparently they had photographic evidence and stuff like that. It does happen sometimes in humans. That's why I don't get like kind of weirded out by like, transgender people or, hermaphrodites or anything like that. Cause I'm like, nature itself is just weird. Right. O5H1T. Okay. O5H1T. Okay. O5H1T. Oh. I guess the 5 is supposed to mean something else. Okay. There we go. Adult toy? ADL toy. Americans with disabilities. Or no, that's ADL. Isn't that like the Jewish Defense League or something like that? Anti-Semitic Defamation League. These are rejected license plates, people who attempted to get license plates, custom license plates, vanity plates, as they call them here in the state of Missouri, and they were rejected. ADL toys. So adult toy, really? Adult toy. Okay, well, there is that, Tolly. It could be adult toy, or it could be Anti-Semitic Defamation League. I'm their toy, right? I don't know. Azzole. Azzole. So this is an Italian one here. Somebody tried to get the Italian thing up there, but I don't know. What do they have against Italians? Azzole, right? Azzole, right? Isn't that like a form of pasta? B00BYZ. B00, like boo, and then biz, right? So it's like boo, and then what is the BYZ though? I don't get it. Boo, biz. Not sure what that is right there. Okay. B1G PMP. B1G PMP. God, I don't get it. What does that mean? B1G and a PMP. B1G. B1G. Right? Like B1G. Like you should B1G P my P. I have no idea. All right, continue on. Let's move on. All right. Ofka. I've been studying a lot of Japanese to get ready for my trip to Japan. Ofka. I think this is a town in Japan. Why did this get rejected? Ofka. Ofka. Arigatou gozaimasu. Ofka. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is there's from Tokyo, as you leave Tokyo, you go down and it's like Yokohama, and then it's Hakone, and then it's Ofka. Pretty sure. Okay, next one. Bad hoss. I'm a bad hoss. Why would this get rejected? I have half a mind to contact the Department of Revenue about this one. You're wasting people's tax dollars. They're paying for these vanity plates. Bad hoss. If you're a bad hoss, you roll in like a pig, like a Harley, and you're like, I'm a bad hoss, right? I don't get it. All right. Bitcoin Oh, so it's kind of like a Michael Jackson thing, right? Where it's like Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin, it's like a Michael Jackson impersonator who likes Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin, and then Castro. This is obviously a reference to Castro, but why 8? So they couldn't get 0. Somebody else owned like the Castro plates, so they put the 8 on there. Castro. Oh, Castro. So the 8 is kind of supposed to be 2 zeros. I think it's supposed to mean, and then shove it. Shove 1T. I really don't get this one. CHUV1T. CHUV1T. I literally do not know what that means. Okay, here we go. Like cum hard. Cum herd. Cum herd. Cum herd. I have no clue. All right, moving on. 1 ET ass. 1 ET ass, like your ET looking ass. Like oh man, you got this ET. This looks like that's a good insult, right? Like, oh, come over here. You're one ET looking ass. All right, let's continue. Anyway, Cumwag. Okay, we're back again with this cuming. Like cumulus, cumulonimbus. Cumwag, like wag the cum. I don't know. All right, we're gonna have to keep going on here, right? Oh, for fuck's sake. Oh my gosh. Okay, well that one's definitely. Okay, damn girl. Okay, I'm getting them now. Here we go. Dawn to like Dawn of the Dead. Dawn to. I don't know. Fartin. That was a good one. I got that one. Fat as 55. Fatty 55. I'm a 55 fatty. And that one is FCKUP. FCKUP. It's like that Britney Spears song. All the boys and all the girls are dying to F-U-C-K me, F-U-C-K-P me, F-Q-L-O-L, F-K-U-Lol, F-K-U-Lol, F-K-U-Lol. Oh, well, that's pretty obvious what that is. I don't need to say that. Fukuyu. Oh, this is a Japanese one too. This is Fukuyu from Austin Powers, remember the movie, the Japanese twins, Fukuyu and Fukumi. F-U-K-C-1-T. Don't get it. Fukdat. Getting a lot of Japanese in here. Fukyoff. F-Fukyoff. Don't get it. F-U-Seek. F-U-Seek. If you seek Amy. All of the boys and all of the girls are dying if you seek Amy. A lot of Britney Spears fans. F-U-U-C-K. Okay, pretty clear. What's with all of this people? Is this proving why Missourians are trash? Jackass. Boy, we're really going way over time in here. Look at all of these. Man, the Riverfront Times went way, way, way overboard. Yeah, I guess you'll just have to read the Riverfront Times on this one because honestly, we ain't got enough time. I'm already over, and I got some scripts to write and some shorts to cut and some work to do. You guys are awesome. Thanks so much for hanging out with us this morning on the Wake Up America show. Isn't it cool? This show is fun. I'm having a blast doing my job. It's fun to make friends too, and to see all the drama. We appreciate you very much for tuning into the Wake Up America show this morning. We will definitely be back tomorrow. You don't want to miss a single moment of the Wake Up America show. Judge Napolitano, of course, for his regular Wednesday gig coming in tomorrow morning. It's a great show. It's one of the best libertarian shows on television that's not on television. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great one. Bye, guys.
I like shooting things, but whenever I can't shoot something, I like to cut things. My life isn't all about shooting and stabbing and cutting, though. Sometimes I have to do actual work, but when I work, I still like to have fun. And there's nothing less fun than trying to cut with a crappy knife. Thankfully, from the ancient sect of Christian knights, who also loved cutting and stabbing, comes a new implement that has received my personal blessing, the Templar knife. Like the ancient sword of Excalibur, you don't choose a Templar knife, it chooses you. You just decide what kind you want on the website first, however, and then order it online, and then it chooses you. The Templar knife comes in a variety of shapes. As a man of culture and taste, I have decided I will never use a terrible knife again. And thanks to the inspiration provided by this excellent product, I have decided to launch a new crusade against anyone using less than superior knives. Join me, brothers and sisters, by visiting uppercuttactical.com/pages/Templar-knives. That's a lot of slashes. For that, you'll need a Templar knife. For 10% off, use code AP for Liberty and join me in a quest for glory, for liberty, for Christendom, for the Templar knife. Get yours today.
Fire.
Hello, this is Barack Obama, and let me tell you why Austin Peterson stinks, and you should never pay attention to anything that he has to say. First of all, he's a libertarian, and we all know libertarians are idiots. They don't realize how important government is to everything that we do. I recently became aware that Austin has opened up a libertarian shop at apforlibertyshop.com. Now, I'm asking you as a personal favor to me that you never ever visit apforlibertyshop.com With all of the great Liberty merchandise there, the last thing that we need to do is to get people spreading this message around the country, because then they might start thinking that they don't need government. And that's the last thing that good Democrats like us want. So if you love democracy, like me, and hate freedom, then don't visit AP for Liberty Shop. Like I said, whatever you do, do not visit apforlibertyshop.com. I'm Barack Obama, and I approve this message.
Want an engaging website to boost your business? You're just a click away from 5-star Fiverr talent. Hundreds of freelancer skills like web design. Head to Fiverr.com today and get something started.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
I would remind you that extremism in the defense of liberty is no vice.
It is better to settle these matters in the courts than on the streets, and new laws are needed at every level. But law alone cannot make men see right.